3 years ago, around this time in March, I sat my final A-level mocks and I ended up getting D's and C's in A-level maths, biology and chem. I truly did think this was over. I was not going to meet my med offer, I was not going to go to university, but somehow in 8 weeks, roughly 2 months, I managed to turn it all around and get A's and B's in my A-levels and met my offer. Don't know how she did it, but she did it. I recently made a video talking about how I did this on TikTok, and let's say it blew up, and I got a lot of comments, a lot of questions, a lot of how did you do it? Can you make a video? What resources did you use? What study tips did you use? Did you actually do this in 2 months? So I thought, you know what, why not make a video about it and, you know, share my tips, my study methods, how I even got into that position in the first place. So this video is going to just be me talking about how I went from D to C's to A to B's in 2 months, sharing how I got in this predicament, my top, I guess, tips and study methods, and then specific tips for each of the subjects. I think that's it really, so let's get into it because I don't want this to take too long. You guys got an exam to study for, but yeah, let's get into it. So let's talk about how I actually ended up here. Now, I'm going to be referring to my trusty little notepad because I have a habit of rambling. I'm trying to keep this short and sweet, no carpenter, but yeah, so please forgive me if I look down. Point one, I'd say, is I thought I was doing a lot of work, but in reality, when I looked back at it, I really wasn't revising as much as I thought. I think I was English as much as I thought I was, and although I was like sitting down at my desk and doing things, I don't think I actually gave myself the right mindset and proper time to really sit and do proper work. Alongside that is probably I was passively revising a lot of the time, like just reading, maybe highlighting, you know, like not actually doing anything active, getting my brain working a lot. And yeah, I had this habit as well of avoiding difficult subjects. My confidence was already quite low when I hit to year 13. Like year 12, I really battled it through, but year 13 hit me like a ton of bricks, like a truck. My confidence was so low, so I wouldn't touch anything I felt like I was already bad at because it was like, what's the point? I don't want to feel like more bad about myself. So I would avoid topics that I wasn't very good at. And I think I low-key burnt out. A little bit about me. I'm very academic, I'd say, in terms of my pursuits. And GCSE, I worked so hard. Primary school, I was the fingers on lips kid, cross my arms, sit in silence. I was that kid. I really did try, and still do try to, like, you know, have a standard to live up to. And in the pursuit of that, especially in sixth form, with a lot of other life factors going on, I just think I burnt out. And yeah, at the low confidence, at the avoiding, at the everything. It was a recipe for, yeah, you're not getting that March mark grade you want. And I didn't, as you can see. But that's how I ended up there. I think also, just like anyone else in this predicament, life is real and we all go through things. And during sixth form, loads of things were going on in my life that were kind of out of my control and unfortunately did affect me. And like I said, I've told you a list of things, but all of those coming together just... There was no way, I think, when I look at it now, I was ever going to get the grade I wanted in the March mark. In year 12, I wasn't a bad performing kid. I was like I met my grades, my targets were like A's, and I met that, and my GCSE set me very well up for that as well. So that's why a common question when people are asking as well was like, your predicted grades, how'd you get them? That's why my GCSEs and also year 12, I was doing good. I was meeting everything. It was year 13 where everything really shifted for me. So that's how I ended up there. The next part I want to talk about is, okay, what changed then? And for me, it was mindset and method. There was a big mindset shift and a big method shift. But first I had to change my mindset because I was very low confident. Like, I really did not believe, especially for maths, there was no way I was going to pass it. And I wasn't good enough. Everyone else in the class performed better than me. I really believed, like, why? How did I even get here? My mindset was really bad, and not even just terms of academics, but just personally, I don't think I had a lot of confidence in myself as a person. But when I got those marks, when I got those grades back, it was like, no, I can't. There's no way I'm going to succeed if I think like this, especially about myself. So there was a point where I was like, you know what? I want to go into this degree. And if I want to go into this degree, I have to start believing in myself. Even if it's 1% more, a little bit, even if it's a drop, there has to be something inside of me that tells me, yeah, you know what, you can do this. Even if it's a small voice. And I literally had to muster up the courage. I also thank my mother. And literally just told myself, yeah, I'm going to get in. I have to get in. I'm going to do this. And then after that, it was a method shift. So going back to the drawing board and thinking, okay, what's working and what's not working, because clearly there's something not working if you're getting a DCC, love. It really took me to humble myself and, you know, put my pride to the side, because as much as I don't want to admit it, yeah, I think I am a bit prideful. I think I do everything like before. I used to think, no, I'm doing this fine, so I don't need to change it. But in that moment I realized, you know what, check yourself. So I really had to come to terms with, okay, I'm doing something that's not working, I need to change it. So it was a mindset and method shift, if that makes sense. One big thing I'd say, if it makes you uncomfortable, keep doing it. Discomfort equals growth. You will never grow in something that a space you're comfortable in. No, you'll never grow in a space that you're comfortable in. You only grow when you put your foot outside that door and you walk into the unknown and you discover something. Like, that is growth. That's how you learn things. You don't learn things by staying in one place. So this next section, I'm going to be talking about some study methods I adopted in this 2-month period that shot me up to those A and B grades. And we're just going to go through them and I'll talk a bit about them and see if that's something you'd want to implement. These really helped me, so I hope they really help you too. So the first one would be time blocking. Now, I wasn't a disorganized kid, but I lived pretty far from my sixth form, so that really messed up with my timings and how I'd go home and study. So I found sometimes in the year, even in year 12, the year before, is that I just wouldn't really give that much time to study. I was really tired and I was really like, oh, I took the commute, the bus was so long, so I didn't really have a solid routine or schedule. But when I got to that point in March in year 13, I was like, I need to really like be super disciplined and like stick to a routine and a schedule. And that's when time blocking became so important to me. So I went on Google and I literally searched up like schedule, blank schedule, and it would be time blocks by the hours. I'll put an example on the screen, and I take different colors of my pens over there, and I would like make tags like, okay, yellow is for like when I'm at school, or orange is for my chem class that day, and I tag my like school schedule and anything else I would normally do in that week, so like church, or if I had a volunteering thing on Saturday every week, I'd tag that. And then the spaces that were left, I'd use it to allocate my study times. Now, I studied a minimum of 2 hours every day on a school day, but to be honest, I averaged 4 hours on most days or more. So I really dedicated like 4 blocks of each day after school to studying. And if I had the willpower and I wasn't that tired, or let's say I had a half day, I'd go home and just lock in, or I'd go to the library and push more hours there. So it was a really good way for me to kind of visualize my time, because before it was just everywhere. Like, it was everywhere, and commuting was not easy. I lived on the other side of like the city of where my sixth form was. Don't ask why I still went. I just couldn't be asked to move, really, from secondary school. And it held me accountable as well, because people in my house also would see it on my wall, and they'd be like, are you going to study? Or if they were trying to disrupt my plans, I'd be like, look at the timetable, there's no free time for me. But yeah, I think it really helped everyone in my house to know, like, okay, Stephanie has this, let's not disturb her. And I think another good thing to mention actually is communicate with your family. Like, I know it was very embarrassing when I got my DCC, very embarrassing, because it was just like, whoa, like, I don't think I've ever performed like that. And my family, you know, they have high expectations of me, in the most loving way, but it was important that I would communicated with them and told them, you know, yeah, I need this time, I need these 2 months to myself, especially the older sibling. I was like, oh, are they going to be okay with it? But they were fine, and they respected it, and I respected them, that they respected me. It was very helpful. So just time blocking and communicating with those around you, like, I need this 2-month period. That was a big thing for me, because if you don't have that time, when are you going to do it? Okay, so the next method was the RAG system. I am a big fan of the specification, using your specification as a checklist. I still do this now in med school, but with our like module stuff, like our learning objectives. And I do this when I choose the kids for GCSE and A level. We will go through a damn spec, because it tells you what is going to come up on your exam. And one thing I really definitely took is from my A-level chemistry teacher at the time. He put so much emphasis on printing the specification every lesson, and I don't think I understood how important it was when I got to that point. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe you were doing this for a reason. So what I did was get a checklist of every subject I was sitting, and I would red, amber, green each spec point, making sure like, okay, if I know this, I know this. If I don't know this, I don't know this. And what I'd put in red and amber would be the first things I would go for. It's so easy, and I repeat, it is so easy to do the green stuff and say, yeah, I studied because I did this, but you already knew it. So you need to really, really be doing the red and amber stuff like from the get-go. So it was a good system to kind of allow me to prioritize what I needed to know. And it also, because I knew what I needed to study, when I finished them, I just could go off do like exam questions or past papers. I wasn't like doing the green topics and then doing so many green topics and then do my red topics, that the time would just go and I'd lose my days and there would be no time to do any past papers or enough exam questions. So just do the things you're weak at, and the RAG system really helped me with that, like doing things I'm weak at and then ticking them off, and then maybe a few days later just checking if I still am good at it. So I'd red, amber, green, take your spec, take a checklist, and use it. Okay, and then my third study method that I really adopted was active recall. But remember, I'm not going to say like I used Anki in those 2 months. And I did use Anki, but Anki's not going to work in those 2 months. I'm telling you, Anki is like spaced repetition over like years and stuff and several months. Like you'll do 2 cards and then suddenly your next review is in a month and then your exam's in a month, so it doesn't really help. But active recall that I used was blurting, and I thank the heavens for my biology teacher. She really put me on this. So one thing, when I got my C in biology, my biology teacher, she offered to, like, do you want some extra lessons at lunchtime, or do you want to sit down and go through things after school? And I said yes. This is another thing. Say yes to any opportunity that's given to you by your teacher, and don't be afraid to ask for said opportunity by your teacher, because it shows that you care. And I know you care because you're watching this video, but it shows that you care, and like they can advocate for you in the worst of things if this is predicted grades, a kind of issue as well. But yeah, when I used to sit down with her in our classroom, she brought a piece of paper, and I never did blurting, and she was like, okay, we're gonna talk through this, and then you're gonna write down everything, like we've talked about the main things. And I remember doing that, just her and me, and I learned so much in about like 20 minutes. Like we didn't sit there for long, but she really allowed me to like use my brain and like blurt on this piece of paper and recheck and explained a lot of concepts to me. So the blurting became such a big thing for me in the way I studied, and it's something I've even took on to university as well, and I do here and now time to time in med school. So blurting, read your content, read your notes, watch a video, and then after, shut it, 5 minutes, take a piece of paper, 5-10 minutes, write down what you remember, check again. How much have you got there? When you got like 90% and above, move on to the next topic. It's a way of making sure that you're checking that you can retain that information. And it also, for me, it kind of helped me understand it too, because I'm actually having to put the cogs in the wheel, and I'm like, okay. So blurting was a very big method for me for active recall. I did also use flashcards, like I mentioned with Anki, but then again, some people might not find that great because you only have 2 months, and maybe flashcards like Anki might not be great, but something like Quizlet, where you can see them every day and you can choose to see them every day, would be fantastic. Or Brainscape as well. I used to use Brainscape a lot. I might have my Brainscape cards. Maybe I'll share them if I can find them. But yeah, Brainscape I used a lot as well, because I could just see them every day when I wanted to. But yeah, active recall, and my method of active recall was blurting. I guess the last study method I did was take a note of common questions that would come up and the common answers that would show up in the mark scheme. Now, I'm not saying this is a way to memorize, exam papers, because that's not what you want to do. But there is only so much they can ask you from your spec, because your spec is just limited, They can't ask you the whole of biology and the whole of chemistry in the world. So when I did loads of topic papers, and past papers, I found that there was a slight pattern, and common answers to common questions like, how would you describe a monomer? Like that would be a 1 marker and it'd always be the same in the mark scheme. So I'd take that and put it on a Google Doc, which I called Flash Notes, and something I have shared over on TikTok, and people have actually bought them. I have 2 for free, one for biology, one for chemistry, and then the rest are for £5 in their own separate bundles. But yeah, that was pretty helpful, kind of keeping a log of like, okay, this question comes up quite a bit. If I were to see it, how would I answer it? And just reading that and, seeing that before doing a paper and everything like that. But yeah, those would be my top, I guess, general study methods, or the top things I adopted in that 2-month period. Can I speak? I'm so sorry. No. Okay, so now we're going to just jump into each of the individual topics and what I specifically did for each of the individual topics. So let's start with the worst, the creme de la creme. I've actually come to appreciate it now, but mathematics. A-level maths was my nightmare. When I first started revising for maths in this 2-month period, it was the checklist, and it was going down and making sure, okay, what don't I know, what didn't I know, and I'd start off with exactly what I didn't know. And when I took that subject, I'd watch a Mr. Bison maths video on it. Mr. Bison, you probably might have heard of him in my video. I'm not going to do too much woohoo and hyping him up and everything. He knows. And then once I did that, I'd go to my A-level maths textbook and I'd do maybe a few questions in there, not too many, maybe for just like 15 minutes, and then after that I'd go do some topic exam questions for maybe half an hour, and then however I felt about it. If I felt like I had to re-see it, then I'd see it the next day. If I felt good about it, then I'd leave 2 days and I'd see it again. And I'd just try to get through as many topics as I could in like a 2-hour block. I would very much take a paper, even like an AS paper. I was doing A-level, but I take an AS paper and just do it for practice, and then I maybe take an A-level paper and then I do it for practice. So my weekends were days where I'd really like go paper heavy. Yeah, that's pretty much how I revised math. It was a lot of like, okay, if I didn't understand something, now is the time to understand it. Because a lot of times with maths as well, I think where I fell short was I just didn't understand things in class as quick as everyone else, and that's okay. And then for like exam questions, I would use my Maths Cloud, or Physics and Maths Tutor, or Mr. Barton Maths. Yeah, there's so many places you can get your maths questions from. Just Google, guys. The power of just Googling and scrolling, and you'll find like the niche's website. But yeah, that's how I exactly studied mathematics. It was a lot of practice and seeing and doing maths every day. I didn't leave a space for maths because it was my weakest. So every day it was on my schedule to do some form of maths, whether that be just one topic or topic questions or a paper. I had to do maths every day. That's how I revised it. Okay, so now let's talk about chemistry. Chemistry was my favorite subject, so you can imagine how shattered I was when I got the C. How I picked myself up from chemistry was essentially kind of going again back to my spec and seeing, okay, did I really know this? Do I really know that? And making sure I gave myself enough time to memorize, especially for organic chem. I think that's the one place people struggle with a lot. Memorize those mechanisms and the way all these different things looked. So like alkanes, it's been a while. How did all the hydrocarbons look like? How would you go from alkene to like an alcohol? Like knowing your mechanism. So I took pride in going into my printer at my school. Going to the printer at my school and rinsing them of their A3 paper. Like I had no shame. I used to print off the mechanism sheet from Chem Revise, and I'd have it on my wall, and every morning without fail I'd pick a mechanism, cover it up, do it, and then check if it was right. And it became like sort of a game. Chem Revise for me, Chem Revise has everything, like your practicals. It has explanations on how to do the mechanisms, all the little bits and bobs you need to know, like what conditions would you do this under, what temperature would you do it under, how to calculate this, Born-Haber cycles, Hess cycles. God, I'm pulling out my brain. Inorganic was basically just like memorization of like the different colors you'd see, the salts you'd see. So I definitely used like my colors over there to like color code, like I made my own kind of cheat sheet of like, okay, if this was this, what would color it would be, and I'd color it in. And it was just more of like, again, blurting. I'd just take a piece of paper and be like, okay, for this, what would it be, what would this be? So a lot of it was kind of like getting myself to see it more often so I'd remember it, because I feel like for me, chemistry, the hardest part I think was just it was a lot of info, remembering it, and then applying it by doing loads of exam questions. Like I did rinsed exam questions for chemistry as well, just exam question. But for something like organic, I really recommend ChemRevise. They do have AQA, I believe they have OCR, and I believe they have EdXL. Please don't hurt me if they don't, but I believe that they do have versions for like each of the exam boards. I just think they're the most fantastic page ever for chemistry. You struggle to understand, then I'd really recommend watching Allery Chemistry. He has amazing videos talking about everything in A-level chemistry. I really did enjoy his videos as well. And then for physical chemistry, for the calculations, because I know that they can sometimes be a bit of a hassle, again, I'd go to ChemRevise. They have a full notes on every topic and in examples and how you'd answer them, so I'd really go to ChemRevise. Basically, this whole section is me telling you to go to ChemRevise and do exam questions. Also, a really good part to mention if you are sitting AQA A-level chemistry, practice your multiple choice questions, because you don't know how many marks you can snag up if you just get all those right. So please practice your multiple choice questions. And in terms of revising, active recall, I used to use loads of Quizlet flashcards and the Brainscape flashcards for chemistry, because it was just more like, okay, what's this fact? So yeah, flashcards were also a big thing for me in those 2 months period as well. And let's go to my beloved biology. Although it wasn't my favorite A-level to sit, I love biology, and hence I'm doing the degree. So biology was also another A-level I was very sad I got the C in, because I loved biology, and as you can tell, I mentioned before, my biology teacher was amazing. My biology teachers were amazing. They were so good. So when I got the C, I was like, oof, I've let everybody down, but it's fine because I'm gonna get back up, and I did. And I got my A, so it was fine. Yeah, how I approach biology. So you need to know what's going on. You need to know your content with biology. There is no way, just like with all the other subjects, but with biology, there is no way you're going to like do well if you don't understand what's going on. There is a YouTube channel. She is on YouTube, Miss Jerka. In secret, I didn't tell anybody this. In secret, she was my little secret. I used to go on YouTube and I'd watch her videos, and she would have the specification in her videos, and I was just like, chef's kiss, she already knows what I'm here for. And I'd watch her videos and she'd explain it, and she'd use like mark scheme specific language you should just use in the exam. Don't waffle, because the thing I did was waffle. I was a waffler, and I knew the content but I wouldn't use the right words. So watching her videos really allowed me to sit and like use the right words. I also would ask my teachers for exam questions and tips and advice. So really talk with your teachers. I really was comfortable with my biology teachers, so I really would go to them and ask them, do you have any exam questions I could do? And I'd do those exam questions. Yeah, so blurting was a really big thing for biology for me. And my teacher recommended going to B&Q and getting one of those really big rolls, and I actually did, and I still have it back at my home in Coventry on the table, spread out, pens, and I'd say, okay, I'm gonna blurt the whole of topic 2 off the top of my head, and I'm gonna read, I'm gonna do it again, and I'd take up the kitchen space and I'd do it, because it was just a drive for me. I really wanted my A, and I was like, I'm gonna get my A in this subject. Yeah, blurting, once I understood, I'd blurt, and then I just do exam questions. Now, I had a really good question on TikTok about application questions, because a lot of biology is not just like AO1, like, oh, do you remember this? What is this? Define this. But it could be like your AO3s, where it's like, okay, but how, this is a whole different thing. How would you apply your knowledge to this? So there was another really good YouTube channel called YouTuber called Miss Estrick, and she went through how you'd answer all these different types of questions, and I used to watch her, and I adopted like what she said to do in my papers, I guess, and I noticed quite a bit of a difference in how I'd answer those application questions. A really good resource, again, Access Tuition. Giving you my gems here, like I feel like I shouldn't, but it's fine. Access Tuition, the top students, they're gonna, they have past paper questions and topic based past paper questions for every science A-level and GCSE, and I used to use theirs for A-level, and I found it so helpful. Physics and maths tutor, again, literally come so clutch. And like I said, if you just Google the topic you're looking for and exam questions and do a little scroll, just be proactive, I'd say. But yeah, understand, make sure you can actually recall the information and retain it. And then with application questions, learn how to answer them. Miss Estrick, she'll be in the description along with Miss Jerka. Miss Jerka, I love you. I received such a lovely email from one of her students saying that she told her that I mentioned her on TikTok. I was like, what? This is the world is too small. So just to summarize this section is just basically repeat anything you're weak at. Don't leave, do it once and see ya. No, repeat. Do your past paper questions. I echo this a lot on TikTok. I'm going to echo it here again. Do your past paper questions. Do your past papers themselves. Do them in timed conditions as well, because you want to stimulate the real effect of the exam. And then finally, as we're coming to the end of this video, I thought I wanted to echo something that is very important. Just because you've watched this video and you've seen probably my other 3 TikToks, it doesn't guarantee that you'll get an A. This is hard. It's probably one of the hardest periods I went through in my life, and it took a lot of sacrifice and a lot of discipline. I'm not saying, and me sharing this does not guarantee that you might get that jump that I did. And I want you to know, if that doesn't happen, it is okay. I think a lot of the times, because I can guess you're probably a high achieving student, you have a very high goal you're working to, and you care so much about your studies, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And we tell ourselves, if I don't get it, it's over. And that's something I told myself a lot. And it's something I'm still kind of learning how to not tell myself in medical school. But I want you to know that it is okay. And if you don't get your grades, it is fine. Everybody doesn't have a linear trajectory towards wherever they want to go. And sometimes for some people, they might come to the realization that maybe this isn't exactly what I wanted to do in the first place. So I want you to know, if you don't get that jump to an A, to a B, to an A star, it's okay. You can always do it again. You can always try again. You can always venture into something different. Your grades do not define you, and they absolutely cannot define what you want to do in the future. There's so many people who I personally know who didn't get the grades they wanted, but when I look at them now, they're one of the most successful people I know in life. So please, just because you might not get the grade, it doesn't define who you are, what you can do, where you can be, where you can show up. You are allowed to exist no matter what, okay? And again, I wish you so much luck during this time period, because I know it's not easy. It's mentally draining. It's stressful. But all that I ask, if you do take this advice, I ask you to take this last thing with you. Look after yourself. It's so important. Please, 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 I'm begging. Look after yourself, because you are more than a grade, 3 letters on a piece of paper, okay? You're so much more than that. And that's something I've also learned to realize. Even if I didn't get my grades, I would have just done it again. I would have done it again. It would have been okay. It would have been hard, but I would have done it again. So just know, you got this. No matter what the outcome is, you being here shows that you care enough. And yeah, I just hope this video has been somewhat helpful in helping you navigate this kind of 2-month period up until the start of exams. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for the support. TikTok, insane. We hit 1K. Hello. We hit 1K. That so whoa, okay. And I want you to know also, like, it's like, wow, okay, you're not the only person who's going through this, so that should bring you some comfort as well. But yeah, that's been this video really. I feel like I have nothing else to share about this topic. I feel like I've talked about it so much in the last few weeks that it's time for you guys to go and just do the work and, get your grades, enjoy your summer, live your life. But yeah, if you guys want anything else, please let me know in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. The engagement really helps me know if you guys like these videos, if I'm missing anything, or what you guys want in the future. And yeah, if you've not followed me over on TikTok, please do, on Instagram. And if you've not subscribed, can you please subscribe and turn on the bell? I'm planning to do a video talking a bit more about me in general, get to know me and my med school journey. So if you are interested, please do subscribe and stick around for that in the future as well. But stay studying, stay blessed, and I'm wishing you all the best. Bye-bye.